Happy Friday, everybody. Sorry about being late. So let's get this started. Let me know when you can hear.
They can hear.
Great. Hey, again, it's Friday. Another update. Another great week. Top 10, I think, is what, 13 today?
Yep.
13. So let's get to the top 13 list. First, number 1, work in progress, tech, animation. There's a whole lot of words here, which I am going to shorten, even though people who know me, like you folks, will kind of laugh at the idea of me shortening anything. But the key takeaways: animation system making great progress. If you have been on IT testing this last week, you've seen some of the new stuff we've added. Big wins for us is the blending that is going on, so that when you're in travel stance, when you're running at full speed, when you're walking, when you have to change and the animation has to adjust to what's going on, it does so automatically. So yeah, you'll see it in the next test. It looks really good, and it's just going to get better. For your IT guys, like I said on the forums, if you haven't been in, you should go in. Go to the top of the rather interesting ramp we built, and jump off. Don't run off. Just jump off, and you'll see the new animation system in action. Also, run up and down the terrain, jump while you're doing so. You won't fall into the world like you were doing all the time. And once again, you'll see the blending, you'll see how smooth it is, and it's just going to get better from here. Number 2 is also an animations item. It's the new animations that Scott and Sandra have been working on. You know, Scott is really doing multiple jobs as usual. In part of his job has been to work on the actual animations. Another part is to work with Andrew in terms of helping to debug things, looking for features to add, all that sort of good stuff. So a lot more has gone in, and a lot more is going to be going in, obviously, over the next few months. Next on the list, The Office. We are actually opening, finally. It only took, almost 7 months to find an office in the Seattle area. But it is opening on Monday. So, yeah, everything's signed. Well, almost everything. We're waiting for the last thing to happen today, but that should be done. That's should not be an issue. So the Seattle team will have plenty of space for themselves over the next couple of years. And they may be growing on Monday as well. Next is another tech item durability. So Christina has been working on the durability system that I laid out, and you know, that is a work in progress. So you folks are going to see the effects of that in the next test, and of course in the coming weeks and months. Once it's in a shape where I think it is where we know it is doing what I intended it to do, then I'll start talking about that in more detail on the forums, as promised. Next, another tech item, literal building blocks. So, yeah, if you've caught me on Discord or even in the forums in the last few days, I've usually ended a conversation with time to go back and work on rocks or stones or woods. And yeah, that is the next stage of the crafting system to be implemented after durability, are actual blocks. You can, of course, use them now in Cube. You can use them in the game, but now they'll have really useful stats. I'm not sure quite how many blocks we'll start with, somewhere on the order of 300. Yeah, I actually do mean 300 different blocks. They won't be all different certainly in terms of their art yet. Same with recipes. We should most likely have over 1,000. The idea with both the blocks and the recipes and having numbers like that is to only grow them over the course of early beta and then start to whittle them down. And once we whittle both the blocks and the recipes down to what we want, about what we want to have for live, then we can start throwing more assets at it. But the key is these are going to be different. The stats will all be a little bit different. The things you'll be able to do to the blocks are going to be different. You will be building blocks via recipes. So just as you would build a sword by saying, hey, I want a hilt and I want this, in the case of a block, we're shortening that just a little. So you're going right now directly from the raw stone to a building block. We may add purifying in for blocks. Again, that's something that we certainly need for weapons, for armor, for everything else. But for at least for now, we may not use purifying just for blocks. On the other hand, it's really easy the way I've set up the system. It's really easy to change those recipes because right now, frankly, I wrote a program to generate them from all the different block types and kind of combinations I want. So if we changed a raw block into a purified block, it's about a 5-minute code change, and it'll just regenerate all those recipes. So yeah, you're gonna have some good stuff for our builders and crafters. You're gonna have some good stuff to be playing around with over the course of Beta 1. Another work in progress on tech, hey, player inventory and a UI to go, an updated inventory and updated UI to go along with it. Obviously, everything you've seen so far is a work in progress. The inventory system and the lack of a character sheet, yeah, that was as work in progress as you could get. We are now starting to put in the first pass of what will be our Beta 1 UI. So you will actually get to see a proper inventory for your character. Once again, another bit of tech that is also a feature that is, I know, important to all of us when it comes to gameplay. You got to be able to see what you have. You got to be able to move around what you have. And what we had up to now, certainly we had no intention of going into Beta 1 with that. New VFX functionality. So one of the things that we've also, the two things really that we've said have to be in place for us to announce the date for Beta 1 is, of course, VFX. So George and Dave and Mike and anyone else who needs to jump in have been working on the improved VFX SFX system. Tyler had asked Mike to create a bunch of effects and just leave them around on the map. So in certain test areas, you guys will actually just be able to see the effects. Not, oh, it's attached to something. No, just to walk around, see how it looks, see how it renders on your screen, all that good stuff. So that too is making great progress. Click to use. So hey, yeah, this is a bit of tech that we haven't had yet. Certainly kind of just a little bit necessary for this game, whether it's click to use for siege engines or click to use for anything else. Matt's been working on that, and it's in the game right now, I believe. Another work in progress, zone offsets. So, look, we're going to have a bunch of islands, right? Having a system where Ben can create the islands and how they relate to each other in terms of the world space was something we had to do before beta, and we started testing it yesterday, or maybe the day before, and we've been running some tests on it as well today. It's kind of important, certainly since we want to have a whole heck of a lot of islands for this game when it launches. The version we have right now has 7, I believe, and it's those islands comprise 1/3 of the size of Rhode Island, landmass 1/3 of the size of Rhode Island. Now look, Rhode Island in video games certainly has not had a good history, so no, we're not thinking of moving there. No, we're not doing this as advertisement for the state of Rhode Island. It's just another fun fact since we're now too big, for the District of Columbia. Next, work in progress art, the Scorpions. So the material pass has been finished by John, and he is wrapping on the Vikings, and he's working on this the TDD version of the Scorpions. He's got a stream. If you haven't seen it, we will link to it with today's update. UI. I hope you folks got to see Michelle's surprise UI stream. That was a lot of fun. We're going to do more review streams like that in the future. You guys will really get to see, continue to get to see, because we've done that before, continue to get to see what it's like in our reviews. And like everything else in the studio, none of this is staged. We haven't prepped for it. We just do the review, and frankly, what we say is what we say. You see and hear us in all of our, openness, including with each other. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy the next one. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. There's a good reveal or two in there. Next, environment realm variations. So Dion completed a pass on the deciduous biome. So, look, this is something that's just, again, an ongoing thing. We're going to be working on, biomes for the different islands. We're going to be working on multiple biomes for the different islands, and we'll be continuing to do new biomes probably for as long as this game is running. It's just something that's, you can always tweak, you can always make better, and certainly with VFX, I expect our biomes to get even better looking in a very short period of time. So the last item on the list is from DB, and we have new variants on the landing music. That's the music that you hear as you enter a zone. He's working with Gabe on hooking up SFX, and so lots and lots of progress. We are very happy right now. It's been a really great week again for the studio. We had a very nice surprise during the week when Scott showed off the bit that our IT guys can see if they jump into Hatchery, and that we will show you alpha folks next week. In terms of a test this week, when we don't think we'll have one, it's not likely. We've been kind of deep in that multi-island code, and not only is it a bit complicated, it's quite expensive, and we're going to be working on taking down or cutting down the cost of each of those tests. Tim's estimate, for example, yesterday, which turned out to be a little high, but not that high, was that each hour of those tests was like $100 in terms, $100 per hour. So, that's something that we can't really run, and we don't want to run over the weekends, because that's a lot of money to spend, especially, for the fact that we're not in beta yet. So expect that we are going to be doing those type of tests, the Big Island tests, either during the week for a few hours, or certainly on some weekends until we get into beta. But the same thing, we're only going to run it for a little bit, because frankly, with the population we have, having that many islands up is just silly. It's silly to spend a lot of money on having those islands up 24 by whatever, whether it's 24 by 3 or even 24 by 1. So expect more focus tests, and we will absolutely take into account the different time zones for that kind of testing, just as we have been. But even more so with these, because we can't, again, really run them 24 by 7 over the course of a weekend. That would be a lot of money to spend. And it's just frankly because we have now 7 islands versus 1, and we're working on things that will reduce the cost by almost 2/3. So once that happens, then we'll be able to look at it and go, sure, we can run that for a few more hours. So that's an update. Great update. Really happy about it. Really happy with the animation system. I've literally been smiling for 2 days, looking since I saw what Scott and Andrew have been working on. The progress is just fantastic, and it's just going to get better. What we have now is already clever, and one of the reasons, and I'll talk about this a little bit, but not much, and I don't really want to take a lot of questions on it because I want Andrew and Scott to do that for, if no other reason, they're the ones that have put in all the hard work on making this happen. But one of the really important things for our system has always been, of course, to craft different abilities. Now, when you craft a lot of abilities, it means there has to be a lot of there will be a lot of combinations of these abilities. I mean, of the components, correct? How do you create an animation system that can handle all that? Well, certainly you could try to pre-create any possible combination, but yeah, that would kind of bankrupt the studio.
Ben's article actually talks about this.
Oh, good. So that'll be in the newsletter. But you just can't do it. So what you have to do is create a system that is modular. Create a system where this stuff can happen on the fly. Create a system where the lower body and the upper body, can act independently, and blend that all together in real time and make it look great. That's where we're getting to. That's the system that Andrew envisioned, and that's what we're delivering on. It's a heck of a system. I mean, it really is. It's going to give us so much flexibility, not only for this game, but other games down the road. And as I said on the forums, this is the animation system that you backers and us, of course, not only that we needed to make this game work, but it's what we deserve. It's what we all deserve. All of the backers, CSE, the people that have been working, so hard on it, here appreciate it. I know you backers will appreciate it. And Lord knows for the last few days I've been just giggling, appreciating the system. So we're going to have a lot of fun with it going forward, and I think you folks will like it a lot. So having said that, let's go to a Q&A, and then we'll open a box we got.
Alrighty, gonna go ahead and play the Q&A intro while you guys type up your questions.
Who are you? Turn the stove off. Did I hear a dog?
Do you like my shirt?
When are this?
Is this my spleen?
Now it is time to answer some questions.
Okay. Thantanos asks, it feels like you are setting this game up to be your crowning achievement. Is this likely to be the last game you ever make on this scale? Open up some more tiers so those of us who believe in you can donate more. Please add food for money loot purposes, only for fun.
Would this be the crowning achievement? No. I don't think, hopefully, no game is my crowning achievement. Hopefully for two reasons. One, because I don't intend this to be the last game I ever make. I still love making games. I love my job. I love being creative. I love working with the people, here. There are times where I hate my life. I mean, anyone who says otherwise when you work in the game industry is probably either lying or has a really interesting job, because no matter what you do, no matter what studio you work for, no matter what game you work on, there's always times where you just kind of look up to the heavens and go, what the heck was I thinking? But no, I want this, to be just one in a series of games. As to the other reason, for me to call this my crowning achievement, even if it turned out awesome, and we do want it to turn out awesomely, it would be to take credit away from the rest of the team, and that I've never done. Even when I was frankly the only guy who was working on a game back in my old studio, which was me in the basement. Well, actually it was in the dining room at that point, because we couldn't afford a basement. I didn't say a Mark Jacobs game. I just didn't. And even when I was doing other games, whether at Mythic or AUSI or now here, where for whatever reason I could claim, more than the average share of credit, I've never done that. Again, even when the game's idea was mine, and the vision for the game, the design for the game, you almost never make a game by yourself, and you never make a game this complicated by yourself. And no matter how smart I am, no matter how creative I am, not only are they, as I've always said, there's always someone smarter, and there's always someone more creative. The fact is, without the people I work with, and this was true here, this was true at Mythic as well, and AUSI before that, without all of them, without all of us, these games wouldn't happen. So I'm not a big fan of talking about something like this as my crowning achievement. I said I never have and I never will be. On the other hand, I love your enthusiasm and your support, and I hope you're playing a lot more games for me over many more years to come. Thank you for that.
All right. Andrew Cortesia has some questions around siege weapons. What will happen if a siege weapon, like the Scorpion by John earlier this week, stands on a slope instead of a flat surface? Will it slide down? Will it be unusable? Is there still a plan to be able to move the siege engine around or pushing it uphill by the help of your friendly neighborhood giant?
Oh, sure. I mean, look, most of these things are meant to be moved around. While I do have some ideas, and I'm sure Ben does as well, for things that are more permanent, I know I do on the defensive side. You will want to move them around. And could it slide down hills and all that? Yes, of course. We have a physics system, and a real physics system. So, it shouldn't be hanging out there on one tip, of its legs and just, this is no problem.
Emmer1 comments, I really appreciate what you folks are building. It is an evolution of MMOs that is long overdue in all aspects.
Thank you. I wouldn't say in all aspects, though I do appreciate that. In a lot of aspects, absolutely. I've always said, and this goes back to the Dark Age days, that the vast majority of games that come out, if they do add anything, they are evolutionary, not revolutionary. There are very few games that are truly revolutionary. On the other hand, if your game is an evolution of the genre, and you've added some revolutionary features, then I think you've done a great job as a developer, and that's certainly what we are trying to do here.
I'm going to let this stand in for any further questions on the topic. Not just 1977 asks, the obvious one is, what's the ETA for Beta 1?
Same thing. I mean, look, this is going to be my answer every single week until we do the two things that I have said for months now will be the last two things that we will use as a reason for not announcing the date. When the animation system is at the point that Andrew hands it off to another programmer, when the VFX system is in place, so George is no longer working on it either full-time or mostly full-time, that's when we can announce beta. The reason being, and I know this question is asked all the time, and there's no problem for it, no problem with it. The reason is simple. Any date we announced now would be BS. And, my new favorite, and not too new anymore, quote is, we're BSC, not BS. And that's the thing. If I gave a date, and I have a date in my head, probably all of us have different dates in our head, but we've talked about the dates here. But they don't mean anything until we can show that the animation system is working when we have 1,000 people or even 500 people running around on the same screen with the VFX firing off and the game is running as expected. That's the key. Until that happens, announcing beta would be a guess. It would be possibly used to hype, which we're not going to do. We screwed up the last time. We really thought that things were going to go well in the March to beta. Obviously, they didn't. And we're not going to do that again. Not a chance. Zero. even if it means more refunds, even if it means people losing faith, then we're gonna just let it happen, because that's the right thing to do. The wrong thing to do now is give you folks a date, which I guarantee you will be wrong. We will either underestimate it or overestimate it, and we're not going to do that again. You folks who backed us, whether in 2013 or even right around the March to Beta, you don't deserve that. You've been patient. Everyone who's still a backer has been patient, and we appreciate that. We are not going to reward that patience by putting out a date that I know right now we can't keep, because again, we could be ahead of it, we could be after it. There's almost zero probability that if I said we were going to start this day or this week of whatever month, that will be ready at that time. Let us get the animation system in, let us get the VFX system in and working the way it needs to do from beta. At that point, you will not only have a date from us, but that list that you've seen will be, the beta checklist will be changed. It'll be updated with a lot more information. It's one of my, one of the three main things I've been working on over the last few weeks. Seattle, obviously, crafting, and the Beta 1 document. That we will release to you with all the details. We won't keep some of the information in there because that's, a lot of the stuff I write is for the team to read. But you'll have all the information about what features you can expect. And I mean details. It won't just be, hey, we'll have combat. That would be silly. You'll have details about that. And then once that's up, probably a little while afterwards, we'll put up the second part of the document that I've been also working. It's all part of the same document, but that talks about what will be our immediate post-Beta 1 launch features from my end of things. So you're going to have a lot of information, more than you have now, a lot more than you have now, more than you had during the March, and the only thing we ask is that you give us, be patient just a little bit longer so we can get the animation and VFX system in shape for that Beta 1 launch. Because if it isn't in shape now, there's no guarantee. If it isn't in shape by the time we announce the date, and frankly we think so far it is, but if we announce the date before we know it's in shape, I don't want to have to sit here and go, yeah, we were wrong. Once we tested the animation system with 500 people, it broke. If I did that, you guys and gals would have a good reason to lose faith in me, and in the team as well. We're not going to let that happen.
All right. Kyle Cronin asks, up to how many simultaneous islands can we expect to see once beta is live?
So we're going to see how far we can push it, and that's more from the expense than technically. So we'll see. Certainly 7 is a minimum, and I'd like to do more, but it's just a question of expense. Each island that we pull up has, as you folks have heard us talk about, our proxies and other things that serve the main game. Every one we pull up, because it's truly a separate entity, has additional expense. It's one of the ways you can tell, once again, that we're not BSing you. If the islands were like all islands running on the same server, if they were on the same landmass, that would be a way that you guys, wait a second, you said you had this true multi-server tech, but how come all these islands seem to be running off the same server? No, these are all separate. These are all absolutely separate instances of the game. That's the part of the magic there. And so, once we figure out a way, which we already are, to lower the price of each of those servers, the configurations for them, then we can see what else we can add. We will certainly have crazy tests during Beta 1 where we really amp up the number of islands as well, just to stress it out a little bit more. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers the question.
Let's see. Rocket Mist asks, you talked a little about the wounds system during the UI reveal yesterday. Can you explain how healing will work with this system? Will heals do combo heals plus wound clears to avoid making it too difficult?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Ben, I know, and other people have brought up. And look, I'll say the same thing about the wound system that I've said about the body part system, because obviously they're quite dependent on each other, is that if this is overcomplicated and not fun, we'll yank it out. It's that simple. The system's designed so we can go to a more standard system quite easily. I think it will work. I think we can have a really fun and slightly more challenging game with this system. But if it's no fun, if it really turns out to be just, this is, UI management to the nth degree, where it is just mind-numbing after a bit, then we'll change it. This is one of the things, and I've had discussions with Tyler and Ben and other people about it, and they've said that's one of the things they appreciate about me in terms of being a lead designer, that I'm willing to change it. I just don't care. I mean, if it's not fun, if it doesn't work, it goes. And whether I thought it was a brilliant idea or somebody else thought it was a brilliant idea or thought that anything is a brilliant idea, who cares? If it's not fun, if it doesn't add to the game, if it's not, if it is, let me just say, get away from the negative, if it is something that people look at and simply go, this sucks, I don't enjoy this, and enough people feel that way, then yeah, we should make a change. So we'll see. Don't at all sweat whether it is going to be too complicated, because we're not trying to make it more so complicated that it's not fun. And that applies to, again, anything in the game's design, including the ability crafting system. So don't sweat it.
All right. Docile Pishoff asks, Discord has a feature to give global emotes you can use on every other server. Will you look into linking the CU Discord server with a better TTV account so you can select some emotes from your server that everyone can use elsewhere?
I know what you're saying. I know the words. I have never used Discord in that way, so that is something for JB to answer. I honestly don't know, because quite frankly, that is something that I have not paid a lot of attention to at this point. Linking with Discord servers to grab emotes, no idea.
Ask JB on that one.
Yeah, totally ask JB.
Odelvik asks, with the animation system, is there a chance of an open API to the animations to allow players to create unique dances, etc.? That's something that I was thinking about, have been thinking about, not just for dances, but can we do some interesting things? I haven't discussed it yet with Scott or Andrew, don't want to even think about that yet, but can we create a system, or can we set it up so there could be a chance for you folks to use a little bit more creativity? That would be a really good thing for us to be looking at down the road. Certainly I know that Andrew is a big believer, obviously, in using Chromium and outsourcing, in a sense, our UI, some parts of the UI. We have the Mod Squad, we have the Builders Brigade, and could there be a way of utilizing players as well, or allowing them to, of course, set up and do their own unique things? Let's look at that down the road a bit, because it's certainly nothing we have time for now. But great question. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That was my fault. But great question. Really good question.
Tuska Jussie asks, during the Kickstarter, I asked about the possibility of getting longer range weapons, spears pretty much, or longer reach weapons.
Right.
And you said you would like to do it. Have you made any steps towards implementing that, and how would you implement it?
Yeah, that's still something I believe in. If you have a dagger, you should not be able to reach somebody, or somebody who has a spear should have a better reach than you do. So yeah, that is something that is still on our list. Loved it then, love it now.
YomiGW2 asks, is there any talk or plan for having mechanics in combat that obscure your health, stamina, or damage for to your enemies?
That's something you'd have to ask Ben about. From my end, I could absolutely see something like that being very useful. I don't know if it's already on his list, but that's certainly something that, especially if you saw Michelle's stream yesterday, where we talked about some of the interesting things we're doing with our targeting UI system, that would fit very nicely.
And we posted a link to that stream in the chat a few minutes ago. Anglo-Sax asks, will CSC be going to any conventions along the East Coast anytime soon?
Probably 90% we'll have some folks at Dragon Con again. We love that con. I don't think we'll be doing... originally we had hoped that for this year we would take a room. And actually, I mean, not a hotel room. Obviously, we have rooms. We're not on the streets sleeping in tents, asking for donations. But a room where we could have backers and players, future players, we would hope, come by and actually play the game. Obviously, we're not in beta, so we're not doing that. And even if we thought we would be in beta, by Dragon Con, setting up for that at this point would be distracting. And as much as we might think that, oh yeah, maybe we could make that date, too much time would have to be spent by the studio. So will we be there? Most likely yes. Will you be able to meet with us, hang with us like we have done in the past with people who have been there? Yes. Will we have anything more than that? Most likely not.
Ammer1 asks, with such an amazing engine built from scratch, surely the thought is that it will be productized and licensed to other studios. Are you already getting interest, a pipeline for that? And if so, will revenue from the engine go towards further engine enhancement into CU itself, paying back debt, or all of the above?
It's certainly something that, again, this is a question I talk about every so often. So for you folks who've heard me say this before, sorry, but it is one of those questions that I really think is worth answering, time and again. We think we are building a great engine. We also think we're building a world-class engine that in some ways will be best in class when we're finished with it. And by finished with it, I mean finished with the major part of the design and the development. Would we be interested in licensing it? Probably not, especially too soon. There are great engines out there. I mean, you've got Unreal, which is just fabulous for certain types of games, most type of games. John Riccatello is leading Unity to, from what I've seen, bigger and better versions. Certainly, Amazon is dumping lots of Amazon bucks into Lumberyard. So to go head to head with those folks at this point would be silly, even for me. Certainly with Mythic and Dark Age, I didn't mind taking on the big boys. It was a question that was constantly asked of us about whether we thought we could. In this case, even though I think we could, it's not worth our time, mainly because in order to compete with them, we would have to spend a lot of money on doing the support type of stuff that you need to do both with your code and with your documentation. That would take up a lot of time. Plus, if you look at what they're charging, there is no way for us to compete with that. On the other hand, a couple years from now, when the engine is in great shape, might somebody, or even before, want to invest in us and help us take it to the next level? Sure. I mean, I actually think that there's probably hopefully a few smart companies who, when they see what this engine can do, would say, yeah, we'd love to work with you folks and help you build the engine so we can also use it for some of our games. But failing that, as much as I would like, to see it be in that kind of shape, it's nothing that I would devote any resources to until this game is launched. We've said this right from the beginning, and we haven't wavered, not once, that we are not going to focus on anything else until Camelot Unchained launches. Certainly other studios have launched multiple Kickstarters or have gone, distracted by other things. Our focus has been this game, and it has to be on this game until we deliver.
Ulfhog, specific questions about specific skills would be better directed towards Ben next time he's on. Odelvik asks, will crafters in safe areas have to have their materials close by? Or will it be assumed the crafter just fetches them from their store?
No, if you're going to be crafting in a safe area, and since obviously safe areas can be somewhat large, you would still have to have your resources with you. Now, are we going to be fairly lax in terms of what you could potentially carry, what you could use, pack animals for? Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're living in a magical world, so the idea that everything has to be limited just by pure poundage, that doesn't really make as much sense. On the other hand, the bag of infinite holding, yeah, we're not doing that either. There's a happy medium. We don't want to make our crafters have to lug around their entire store if they're just, crafting with their box in the middle of town. On the other hand, we also don't want people to be able to just say, yes, I'm loading up 30,000 pounds of stone in my magical bag and walking it across the open areas to try to build a structure in somebody else's land. So that's one of those things that's a balancing act, and we're certainly going to err on the side of not making it a pain in the ass whenever possible.
Brando2 asks, the map size and island system seems like it might take a while before realms get to interact with each other in PvP. Are there any intentions or ideas for initial methods to get players into combat quickly when the game first comes out?
Great question. This hasn't been asked in a while. So what we've talked about is we know that on day one there's going to be two, really distinct classes of player. One, combatants, other crafters. If all the combatants can do is sit in a safe area and polish their swords, that's not going to be a lot of fun. Similarly, if we say that the crafters have to sit in the safe areas and can do nothing other than craft, then that isn't going to be a lot of fun either. So expect the opening islands and the configuration of the islands to allow people to, both classes of people, to have some fun, to play the game, and not just have to sit around if you're a combatant or a crafter and not be able to do some of the things that you really want to do. It won't be instant, obviously. We have said no instant travel, so we won't have the magical portal that you will be able to teleport right to the enemy lands. But we've got some ideas, and frankly, that is not something that, when you think of the concept of movable islands, having a way that on the first few days or weeks players can still mix it up, that's not a really hard problem to solve, is it? We've solved it. It's in my head, don't worry.
Deladin, in answer to your question, that is already in the game. Arcane Cloister asks, how long will it take the crafter to set up a siege weapon?
Depends on the siege weapon, depends on the number of crafters. We've talked about right from the get-go how crafters can work together to do things. It's a perfect example of how they can do that.
Darrell Gone, if you could clarify your question a little, I don't know what you mean by goals 1 and 2. Then I'll ask it. Let's see. Daladin asks, have you considered grabbing a video camera and going outside in the parking lot and having the more athletic people do running leaps, etc., to provide some real-looking reference material for the animators?
Yeah, nothing good would come
I
from
can
that.
just imagine it.
Yeah, nothing good. Yeah, that's a multiple lawsuits and HR violations and workers' comp cases just waiting to happen. Yeah, I think that Scott and Sandra have all the material they need online to help them. And in terms of realistic, if you look at the stuff we've done, for example, with our tests here with weapons, if you look at the improvement that you'll see if you haven't been in the test in the last couple of weeks with just the running animation, it wasn't a question of whether Scott and Sandra can do a good animation. It was a question of having an animation system that allowed them to do great animations. That's where we're getting to.
Anila Gamir asks, is it possible to get a job at City State Games without a college degree, but with a boot camp completion in coding, or an online course in Code Academy? I love video games, and especially Deoc.
And this goes back to Mythic as well. We never required a college degree as an entry, as a token to get into to the company. It's a question of your talent. It's a question of what you've learned. We certainly would look at somebody who hasn't had a college degree as just somebody that we're interested in. It really doesn't matter to us. Talent is what counts. And if you look at the old Mythic team, certainly when we first started the company, there were people there who had not yet graduated from college. College can be great. On the other hand, if you go to college and you really didn't do much with programming, why are you necessarily better than somebody who may not have graduated from college but has spent a lot of time programming? So yeah, don't let a lack of a college degree or don't think that a lack of a college degree means we won't hire you. I can guarantee you, absolutely guarantee you, that that's not the case. Not here.
Darrell Gone has a clarification to their question. If we meet the goals that you laid out, the handoffs from various programmers, Andrew and George, how much time is there between that and the start of beta? Weeks or months?
That depends how long it takes. Certainly, if it extended longer, and certainly hope it won't, then it might be weeks. On the other hand, if they do it, get it, if they complete it sooner, then it would be, months. It depends, how it depends on when they do the handoff. It really does. Could they hand everything off next week? It's certainly possible. It's not likely, but anything is possible. We're closer. And I've said this on the forum, so this is no reveal. I think we're closer to beta 1 than a lot of people think we are.
Over on the YouTube chat, Bad Kodiak TV asks, I know that you will find the balance eventually, but what is your take on the amount of damage a player will take in the event they are hit by a siege engine?
So let's just take out the extremes on both ends. Siege engines that really, aren't meant to do a lot of damage to humans, and also the ones that are designed to, turn you into a
Red mist
when they hit. If you get hit directly by a siege engine, something that is intended to be powerful is intended is not, say, magical based, where you might be thinking, or I am thinking, certainly of certain types of attacks that are designed to destroy stone, but might not have that much effect on a human or on flesh. Then you might be fine, getting hit by it. On the other hand, look, siege engines are meant to be devastating. They're meant, to cause destruction. And, if you're sitting under, even if you think you're safe sitting under an awning or something, and a major, siege engine, not even one of the, guys on the high end, but just a powerful siege engine, whether it's the bolt, whether it's the ball, whether it's whatever that this thing launches, hits you, you're in deep trouble. I mean, you just are. That's what this is designed. That's what these things are designed to do. On the other hand, as always, some things are more complicated, and we'll be talking much more about the siege system right before beta. It isn't going to be as simple as some people think it is, and I like it that way.
Toto Tata asks, will there be illusion magic, i.e. making enemies see things that don't exist, like fake people, fake walls, etc.?
Yeah, that's always something that I would like. That has always been something that I would like to see in the game, no question. Whether it's hiding people, and I don't mean hiding in the veil, simply hiding them from sight, whether it's through the use of things like fog, or the use of dummies that you could distract the enemies with. All sorts of things are possible. Just a matter of being creative.
Artilla asks, can we demand at the start of beta that you color your hair yellow?
Why in the heck would you want me to color my head yellow? Now, purple I could see, so you can do the Joker thing. But why yellow? Expecting an answer on this.
Odilvik asks, will we see any racial abilities, such as infravision and ultravision, that would allow players to be naturally better during nighttime?
Do you mean for Beta 1? Because I've talked about those kind of abilities right from the beginning. So yeah, we definitely want to have those kind of racial abilities. Kind of important. We've said that the races in our game are not meant to be created equal. They are going to be different. They may be equivalent in most ways, but there are advantages and disadvantages of each race that you will choose as a player. That's something that's a foundational principle for this game. Races have to matter. Classes have to matter. That's why we're not going with mirrors. Except maybe for illusion spells, because that'd be kind of cool. But the races will have those sorts of advantages, and yes, infravision and things like that are important. Very important actually to gameplay.
Akihiro asks, is there a set date for when the last data pledges?
Oh no, you'll be able to pledge right up to when the game launches. There'll be different pledge tiers, however. We've said right from the get-go there'll be founder tiers, builder tiers, and citizen tiers, and that is how they will change once we are. Once we're in open beta, because we're going to do an open beta. We've said that before. We haven't changed our mind on that. Once we're in open beta, the tiers will, if they haven't changed already, though I think they would have, they will certainly change. And then once we go live, then there won't be these sorts of, tiers. Even the citizen tier will go down to a very basic tier at that point, because using the same sort of donation setup, for a live game just feels wrong. On the other hand, might we have ways you can donate to or vote to help certain extender packs? Certainly, but we shouldn't be using the same system. It's a different game at that point. No, it's the same game. It's a different, what is the word I'm looking for? Because it's not just situation. whole different perspective.
Paradigm.
Or paradigm, that's a good one, because it is a different paradigm. At this point, you folks, whether you're a builder or a founder, have donated to help us make a game. You know, you guys and gals are bringing this to life. The folks who donate then or buy then are buying a product that is either done or almost done. And that's a totally different risk proposition. And it's one of the reasons I've always said to our founders that, you know, we were going to keep our word about what we said. And we have, just as we'll keep our word, you know, the word to our builders. You know, that's what you should do when you're taking people's money. You know, you should treat it the way, you know, you want to be treated yourself. And since a lot of this money going into the game is coming from me and the other investor, yeah, I've got a vested self-interest to make sure that we're doing things the right way.
The only clarification I'm getting on the yellow hair is some people saying you could make yourself look like a duck, and Artilla says if you dye it yellow, you will glow in the dark. Seems useful.
We'll see. Well, maybe you should start. Hey, if we donate this much, MJ will color what's left of his hair, you know, yellow or whatever, you know, choice that players you know, want. I think I've dyed my hair or had my hair dyed twice in my life, both times by my nieces. Once it came out purple.
Nice.
It really did. It came out purple. And the other time it was a little better. Not much. So.
All right. Ladaween asks, given your ability to create islands, will the islands that exist at launch all be totally new and never before seen in a test?
Oh God, no. That would be bad. That would be dumb. You know, mistakes. When you look at the end of open betas, or even when they, you know, the developer doesn't do an open beta, it's just a closed beta. There have been a number of MMOs that have changed things up at the last minute. If you change up too much, you risk almost everything. If you change up too little, then that can be a mistake as well. So, you know, the islands for us are kind of key to this game's success, right? Whether it's that the resources within them have to work properly, or obviously the island, moving island tech has to work. And there's so many things that you can go down a checklist and say, yeah, this has to be right, this has to be right. So, you know, to have all the islands be new and fresh, sure, that would be cool for our backers, but potentially devastating to the game's launch. We want to launch well. So the idea that we could suddenly spring all new islands, or even most new islands on folks, that would be bad. On the other hand, that doesn't mean that everything on the islands has to be set up the same way it was in beta. And that's all I'll say about that. Okay, let's look for one more.
Okay. So I'm going to look for one more question, folks. And then we're going to open a box. Let's see. And of course, if you aren't getting your question answered today, hang on to it or ask it on the forums if you're a backer.
I'm always on the forums, guys.
I think this one is pretty interesting. Izanerus asks, I understand the large role you want crafters to have in the game. However, to what level do you envision combatants participating in the gathering, setting up of siege, building, and generating mandatory consumables such as arrows.
Oh, look, we've been very clear, I thought, on the fact that we still want combatants to have some not only basic popcorn crafting, but also a role in helping set up sieges and even in gathering. It's not like we. So, if you look at how we're designing the two major, meta classes, I guess, of character, the crafter and the combatant, what we haven't done is say that this class and this class are like that. They're so different. No, there's actually a bit of, merger between them. Our crafters, or commonality, better word. Our crafters can fight. We've said that also from the beginning. They can be useful in RVR. They can be useful in PvP. Obviously the distinction RVR sieges, PvP, running around the world in group versus group or solo versus group. What we've said though about them is that one-on-one, they're not going to survive most attacks by combatants. Obviously the combatants have to know what they're doing. On the other hand, we haven't said as well that the crafters have a monopoly on crafting. So with the combatants, yes, they're going to be better, obviously, at fighting, a lot better. But we also want to give them some ability to craft. They will never be as good, just as the crafters won't be as good at combat. But they will absolutely be able to contribute to the process. Having an archer who can't make any arrows or doesn't have access to any arrows when he can't find a crafter on, or he hasn't stored up enough, yeah, that doesn't sound like a winning way to do things. On the end, by the same token, if we said that you can't set up siege equipment without the help of crafters, well, then that doesn't really work either. So, you want to design these two meta classes as classes that have to, or groups that have to work together, but not in a way so that one, can't exist at all without having the right number of other people around. If crafters always have to have combatants help, then they're going to be frustrated. If combatants always have to have crafters help, then they're going to be frustrated. So there is going to be some shared things they can do. There has to be. Otherwise the crafters would be absolutely useless in RVR. If they could die, because a typical vertical paradigm would say, hey, you're leveling up your combatants, so you're going to have 10, 20, 50 times the health of somebody who's new or somebody who has who isn't a combatant. So that means when the non-combatants come in to help in the first bit of artillery that comes over the wall, everybody who's not a combatant dies, and that's terrible. Because we're not doing things that way, we can set it up so the crafters can be useful in a siege, so they won't instantly die, so they can even fight a bit. Same with the combatants. They have to be able to do some things crafting wise, siege wise, because if they can't do it without the crafters' help, then this game is simply going to devolve to, looking for whatever. I mean, we might as well just call it that, right? So it'd be always looking for crafter or looking, for combatant, and nobody would do. Well, you could still do some things, but nobody would do everything we want them to do until they had the right number of crafters or the right number of combatants, and the game would be really boring. So, hopefully that answers the question. I think it does. Does he think it does?
I hope so.
Just see if there's an answer there.
Xanarus was hoping that I would choose their question to ask, so.
So yeah, hopefully that does answer your question. I think it's really important, and we've said it's very important that the crafters and combatants work together, but again, not to the point that neither can exist on a hour-to-hour, day-to-day basis without having a certain number of the other side there, because that just wouldn't be a winning game design.
All right, well, we did get a smiley face.
Okay, good.
So.
All right, I've got a weapon. I think it's working. Yeah, hey, there's the blade again. Let's see what we got in the box.
All right. You want me to move the camera so it points down there?
Yeah, that'd be great. See? Oh,
There it is.
see?
This
haven't,
box arrived.
haven't opened it yet.
Now we think there's a gift from a backer inside. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. I'm not sure. I shouldn't read the person's name. Do we have the backer name?
Yes, it's from Poxer.
So, Poxer, thank you. Obviously, I see your name. Thank you very much. Won't repeat it. We got just what, every healthy studio needs. White cheddar popcorn, which is just awesome. So, thank you for that. I guarantee you it will be eaten. So, eat smart food popcorn. So, Poxer, thank you very, very much. I'll get over here. Since the camera's
you're
pointed.
in front.
Oh, okay. So again, thank you very much. It is appreciated. This is one of the things we love about our community. You guys have been so supportive. Most of you have been so patient, and every so often we get something like this, and we appreciate it. It's hard, obviously, making this kind of a game, and on me personally at times dealing with some of the negative reaction from people. But when we get things like this, it really makes us feel, just great. We really do appreciate it. We've been very scrupulous, I like that word, about not trying to treat you guys as walking wallets. We don't, we're not selling a whole bunch of, spaceships to try to get more money out of you folks. We're just doing our job, and every so often one of you does something like this, and we really appreciate it. You guys have been great. We've had so many great backers who sent us stuff like this, and yeah, we really like it. So again, Poxer, thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to get back to work on today's update and stones. I guess I knew how many stones there were, but there's a whole bunch of stuff about stones that I actually didn't realize because I had never, gotten this deeply involved in figuring out the physical properties, the physical, chemical, and mechanical properties of all the different types of materials that we were using in a game. So it's kind of cool to find all sorts of new and interesting information. So I will get back to that. I will also get back to the update, and I'll see you folks next week. Have a great weekend. We'll let you know in the update about whether we have hatchery up over this weekend. I'm not sure what the current state of it is. We know fledgling will not be open this weekend. We may leave hatch up. We will leave hatch up certainly for us potentially to work on. I'll let you folks know if it will be IT or IT and Alpha. So again, thanks as always for the support. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
And keep an eye out for the test
yeah.
emails, the update,
Yep.
the monthly newsletter.
Yes.
And tomorrow we'll be hosting a stream from the backer Swazi.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, excellent. I've been
Very
so heads down. I had no idea. Well, I
Moobot
can't-
just dropped the stream schedule in chat already, so perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, and one more thing. The man with no screen name points out this is a cool gift because we can be very corny and cheesy.
Perfect. And it's yellow like a duck.
Oh, there you go. All right, see you later, folks.